Imagine a company, not just any company, but one that has no discernible office, no public employees, and no clear product. Yet it operates globally, influences major industries, and leaves behind a trail of impossible, baffling anomalies wherever its name appears. This isn't a sci-fi plot. It's a real-world enigma that has baffled researchers, investigators, and even intelligence agencies for decades. What if I told you there's an entity so shadowy, its very existence defies conventional understanding? A corporate ghost that whispers behind closed doors, shaping our world in ways we can only begin to comprehend. To understand this profound mystery, we need to talk about Axiom Corp. Or at least, that's the name that surfaces most frequently. A placid, almost boring facade for something truly extraordinary. Axiom Corp doesn't have a flashy website. It doesn't sponsor Super Bowl commercials. You won't find job listings for it on LinkedIn. There are no annual reports, no stock tickers, no press releases. Its name never appears in the Forbes 500, nor in any official business directories or international trade registers where it logically should. Yet the name, Axiom Corpens, has been quietly whispered in certain circles for years, an almost mythical entity among those who delve into the world's most obscure conspiracies and unexplained phenomena. Researchers first stumbled upon it not through direct investigation, but through bizarre, almost accidental intersections. It would appear in the footnotes of declassified documents from obscure military contractors, or as a cryptic signature on a patent application for technology that didn't yet exist, or on shipping manifests for materials that seemed to originate from nowhere and destined for destinations equally vague. The very first recorded instance of its appearance dates back to the late 1980s, an almost imperceptible mention in an internal memo from a now-defunct East German intelligence agency, referring to a Western economic pressure group, codenamed X1. The memo provided no further details, only an attached, heavily redacted report section that seemed to indicate an interest in emerging quantum computing theory and deep-sea mineral rights. It was a phantom, an echo in the data, a faint signal amidst the noise of global commerce, yet persistent enough to spark a flicker of curiosity in the most dedicated anomaly hunters. This wasn't just a shell company. It was a company that seemed to defy the fundamental rules of corporate existence. But things took a far stranger turn when independent researchers, initially dismissing Axiom Corp chucks as an urban legend or an inside joke among some obscure internet forum, started cross-referencing these scattered mentions. They found instances where Axiom Corpus was listed as a key partner in projects that were ostensibly impossible. Consider, for example, the Seraph Initiative, a black project from the early 2000s designed to develop atmospheric control technologies. Leaked documents mentioned Axiom Corp as providing critical proprietary materials, materials that physicists and engineers couldn't identify from any known periodic table. Then there was the peculiar case of the chronosynth patent filed in Switzerland in 1997. The patent described a theoretical device capable of localized temporal interference. The inventor was listed simply as Axiom Corp Innovations Department, with no names, no addresses, and no preceding patents. The Intellectual Property Office, according to those who tried to query it, claimed no record of the patent, despite its undeniable digital footprint on archived databases. One researcher, a former NSA analyst named Dr. Elias Thorne, dedicated over a decade of his life to mapping these anomalies. He discovered that Axiom Corporation's name would consistently appear adjacent to global events that seemed to possess elements of high-level technological advancement coupled with an almost unnatural precision. A specific surge in a regional stock market linked to a revolutionary energy discovery? Axiom Corp is subtly referenced in the geological survey data. A sudden, inexplicable failure of a key satellite network during a sensitive geopolitical moment? Axiom Corp appears as a service provider on an encrypted, but ultimately breached, communication log. Dr. Thorne developed a complex algorithm to track and correlate these seemingly disparate data points. What he uncovered was unsettling. Axiom Corp TIOS's presence was like a digital fingerprint left on events that felt too orchestrated, too perfectly aligned. It wasn't just influencing, it was correcting or optimizing outcomes with an eerie efficiency. He found reports from a top-secret scientific think tank in the Sahara, where a small team was attempting to replicate a breakthrough in material science. Their internal correspondence made fleeting references to Axiom guidelines, specifically regarding the stabilization of subspace energy matrices. The researchers involved disappeared shortly after. Thorne believed Axiom Corp wasn't just a company, it was a mechanism, an invisible force operating outside the known laws of physics and economics, a shadow puppeteer of reality itself. His findings, though meticulously documented, were met with skepticism, then dismissal, and finally, a chilling silence from the few contacts he had within the intelligence community. Thorne himself eventually vanished. His research, however, survived, meticulously preserved on encrypted drives, detailing an entity that seemed to exist everywhere and nowhere, a company that shouldn't, by all logical accounts, be able to function, let alone wield such profound influence. What they discovered next changed everything, taking the mystery of Axiom Corp from an academic pursuit into something far more visceral and terrifying. In 2018, a former employee of a major defense contractor, haunted by what he claimed to know, contacted a small group of Dr. Thorne's followers. He called himself Project Chimera, and he spoke of a meeting he'd attended in an unmarked building in Brussels. The company he worked for, Dynamics, was bidding on a contract for advanced atmospheric dispersal systems. The meeting, he explained, wasn't with government officials, but with two individuals representing Axiom Solutions Group, a known alias for Axiom Corp. These individuals, he claimed, presented Dynamics with a complete, fully functional prototype of the dispersal system, far exceeding what even cutting-edge research could produce. The design blueprints were handed over on a single, crystalline data chip. But what truly horrified him wasn't the advanced technology, but the caveat that came with it. Axiom Solutions Group explicitly stated that their partnership was contingent on Dynamics phasing out all research into a distinct, unrelated field: biogenerative agriculture. Upon closer inspection of the data chip, Project Chimera found not only the system blueprints, but also an encrypted file. He managed to partially decrypt it, revealing what appeared to be an operational timeline for Axiom Corp. The timeline spanned not years, but centuries, detailing projected technological advancements, major geopolitical shifts, and economic trends with an almost prescient accuracy. Some entries referred to events that had not yet occurred, but were scheduled to culminate in a convergence point in the late 21st century. The most terrifying aspect was a single, cryptic phrase repeated throughout the document: error correction protocol initiated. It hinted at Axiom Corp, not just influencing, but actively correcting deviations from a predetermined future. Project Chimera described the meeting as sterile, emotionless. The Axiom representatives were unnervingly calm, their movements precise, their gaze unnerving. They spoke in a cadence that felt almost artificial, like pre-programmed responses. He described feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as if he was in the presence of beings who completely understood the future and was simply ensuring it unfolded as planned. He said Dynamics accepted the terms. The dispersal system was deployed, and biogenerative agriculture research at Dynamics dwindled, just as Axiom had suggested. Project Chimera provided a blurry photo of the crystalline data chip and fragments of the decrypted timeline, confirming elements of Dr. Thorne's earlier findings. He vanished shortly after, but his story, and the chilling implications of the error correction protocol, continues to haunt those who dared to look. To this day, the true nature of Axiom Corp remains shrouded in impenetrable mystery. Is it a clandestine government project operating outside democratic oversight? A cabal of hyper-intelligent individuals with access to unimaginable technology? Or something far more alien, something that transcends human comprehension entirely? The implications of such an entity existing are staggering. If a company can silently orchestrate global events, manipulate technology beyond our understanding, and correct historical trajectories, then our concept of free will, of progress, and even of time itself may be fundamentally flawed. We are left with a chilling thought. What kind of entity requires a future to be corrected? What errors are they preventing? And to what ultimate end? The trail of Axiom Corp is a breadcrumb path leading into the deepest shadows of our reality. A path that suggests the world we perceive might just be a carefully curated simulation, and Axiom Corp is the silent, ubiquitous administrator. We may never truly know the truth, but the echoes of its presence continue to reverberate, a constant, unsettling reminder that some companies might not just be in the business of profit, but in the business of shaping existence itself.